As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. This article, I just thought it was interesting because, you know, crypto gets all the headlines these days in terms of mining and gaming cards and things like that. But this headline was, NVIDIA sold 155 million in crypto mining chips last quarter, but PC gaming remains its biggest market. And the article goes on to talk about how they were expecting mining cards specifically. So they did 155 million last quarter. Next quarter, they're thinking they're going to do 400 million. But their gaming business, like the core gaming business, GPUs for PC gaming, generates in the same quarter 2.7 billion in revenue. So, you know, you're talking quite an order of magnitude larger than what they're currently doing on crypto. I just thought it's interesting because, again, you know, crypto gets a lot of headlines and everyone says, you know, this is why you can't get graphics cards right now and because everyone's mining and things like that. But I mean, people are spent 2.76 billion on graphics cards in the last quarter just to play games and not to mine. I think is interesting. I don't know. Where do you guys? Where are you on? Jimmy, you mentioned the shortage. Where are you on this? Like, where are you on hardware, NVIDIA, gaming, business?
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot, and obviously anyone that subscribes to the newsletter, you know, sees the update on the ticker and all these different publicly traded companies and what they're doing in this space. If honestly, I think it just shows that hardware is a really strong play, right? There's just a massive market for it. There's constant shortages, no matter how big your company is. There's people that buy like 10 mice at a time because they wear out. You know, there's like there's so many consumers for so many different reasons. You know, I love the HP article we just covered, and I just think hardware is a very strong play, and I need to spend more of my free time looking at where that's going and where I can get involved.
Lindsay, the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, at his Computex keynote last night or 2 nights ago, basically said that he felt shortage of gaming cards were going to last right through till 2022.
Oh my God.
Is there any slowdown, you think? Like, at what point does the demand for gaming hardware, you think, subside?
I don't think it does.
Like, do you think the supply is just going to have to keep up?
Yeah.
The secondary market, right? You're going to have cards that aren't the latest in class, but that are maybe a year old or something that people are still paying a premium for. So I think there's also going to be a large reseller market.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Lindsay.
Well, especially since, I mean, these cards, obviously gaming is still the #1 thing, but they're not even just used for that. Like, we use our gaming PC for a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know before I had one wasn't possible on a laptop. So I don't think
it's how you justify the purchase of a gaming PC, right?
Yeah.
Like this is better.
I don't need to justify it. Whatever.
I use it for a lot of things as far as the IRS is concerned.
Now that I didn't think of, but yeah, no. I don't think the demand's going anywhere. I mean, people are only getting more comfortable and more familiar with technology and getting higher and higher needs for it in all aspects of life. I think the pandemic highlighted that even more.
I don't have the article here, but I had read a great article about how current shortages, like in GPUs, for example, a big part of the problem is how the entire world went to just-in-time manufacturing, right? And graphics cards are no different, where you keep as little inventory on hand as possible of all your base components, right? So, and you have just enough to put together the cards you need to make that day, basically, and new components come in every day or whatever it is, right? Like this idea of just in time, minimal inventory, and how the article talked a lot about how that's basically screwed a lot of businesses in the gaming space, because as soon as you have shortages of even just one very minor component, now you have major problems. And for a company like NVIDIA, who is selling literally every graphics card they can make, do you think we will see any changes over the next year or two to account for both the growth in the gaming market and sort of the shock to the system that has happened right now?
This is a loaded question only because the entire supply chain for shipping and moving goods is struggling right now. I mean, there's a shortage of shipping containers even to get things in and out and across sea lanes. Like, we were in an unprecedented event, and all the world's shipping just got completely dumbfounded, and things that were previously norms were shown to have basically zero resiliency in the face of any type of trauma. I would not be surprised if there were major changes in a lot of areas, and especially when it comes to hardware and things like chip makers. Like, now we have a car shortage. Now we have a phone shortage. Like, we have a shortage.
Because Tesla's putting consoles in their cars.
Yeah. I mean, we have a shortage of every single piece of technology that we use in our day-to-day lives. Like, even bread makers were sold out on Amazon for a long time. Like, anything semi-technologically related has been impacted by what's happening globally and with international shipping. So do I think that there will be changes? I really hope so, because if this continues to happen, it's going to really suck. And I believe that we've gotten used to a certain level of service and accessibility of products as a world that isn't going to be lessened in times of trauma to the shipping market. So I'd certainly hope that there's some adaptations and some changes that lead to more consistent production or more consistent sourcing of materials or anything within the supply chain that can handle these type of events.
Jimmy, are you surprised that they're saying, NVIDIA's saying 2022 before anything comes back to normal? And do you think this is a little bit of marketing, right? Like,
no,
like we can't ever, like, there's so much demand, we'll never have them
the
in
amount
stock,
of pissed off people that can't get their hands on graphics card is this is a marketing move. It'd be cruel. Yeah, it would just be straight up cruel.
I'm definitely upset by that announcement. I'm one of those people that want to upgrade my graphics card. But like Lindsay said, we're in this unprecedented moment, and I don't think that's the kind of time period where massive companies are going to significantly change what they're doing by increasing the volume of their manufacturing and distribution, right? Especially when distribution is limited by events beyond their control through whoever they subcontract through. So what I will say is what I've noticed with COVID, like webcams. My dad's an attorney. He has about 40 attorneys in his office. They probably ran the same 3 webcams to each person's office, whoever needed it that day, until they could get them, because these were sold out and we were paying twice as much as they were worth to make sure they had enough, for virtual hearings and things. And what I know is Gen Z and Gen Alpha are increasingly relying on computers to get their content, right? They're not turning on the television. They're watching on laptops, on tablets, on computers, and they want to watch in better and better quality, right? So the need is what I'm trying to say is definitely there. Obviously, obviously we already knew that, but it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's only growing. So I would hope that NVIDIA would change its strategy to meet that need, because again, it's only increasing. But I don't know if right now is the time for them to do that, just because they're so uncertain with what the last 12 months looked like versus the next 12 months, that they probably would rather not take a big swing like that when they're already killing it, when their stock's doing amazing, when their products can't stay on the shelves. Why would we flood the market and devalue, ourselves here? Let's ride this out for a little bit longer and sell a little bit more, and generate more hype. Right. And then when they understand where the market is, when everything stabilizes, when they have shipping under control, then maybe they increase the volume a little bit more and cash out pretty well.
to me, NVIDIA is just like, I just want to close on this. Like, to me, NVIDIA is such a bellwether in terms of health of the gaming industry and growth of the gaming industry and potential of the gaming industry. In the sense that, like, if you had asked me 10 years ago, do I think at some point NVIDIA will sell a $1,500 graphics card and not be able to keep them in stock? Like, I would have told you, like 10 years ago, Paul would have told you you're nuts, right? Like, no one's going to spend $1,500 on a graphics card and be buying them up, so to the point where the company cannot make enough of them. And I think it speaks to the long-term potential. And NVIDIA is one of those companies, I've said it so many times, that like, you want to know how close we are to the metaverse, like real metaverse, like track GPU shipments, right? When we have GPU shipments, you know, one GPU for every, you know, person on Earth, you're talking about real metaverse potential here. This is what's going to power a lot of that. And so I think it's just such a bellwether, and it's interesting to see the gaming, even though they talk a lot about AI and crypto and other things in their keynotes and things like that, that gaming is still the biggest driver for them in terms of revenue and growth. So really exciting and interesting stuff from them.